Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome to our morning NXT post show. I am your hostess, Wrestling with Honey, and this is Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet. We are on the aftermath of some catfights and cups and combines. Oh my, I feel like I am in another land. I am not on NXT anymore. It is a different world. It is a different era. We have new North American Women's Champion qualifiers, and we're going to get into it all right here next.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go off. This is Shayna, the Queen of Spades, Baszler, and you're watching Women's Wrestling Talk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is the middle of the week. It is the morning. Hope you are ready to put your tea in the NXT today. I'm your hostess, Wrestling with Honey. Welcome to our NXT post show. And you know I'm not alone. I always have some company with me joining me. And we have the boss lady, the real TK on the other.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am good. I'm honestly just waking up.
Well, good morning then.
Just waking up. Good morning, literally. But yes, we are here for our NXT post show, and it was quite a wild night. Lots of backstage catfights, lots of jumping around, lots of cups and soul snatching combines.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty crazy last night. What did you think about it, boss lady, overall, before we get into the deets?
Yeah, it was really good. And I'm sure a couple people have been saying this for a while. Just the NXT product. It's just a really tight show for an hour. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Felt like a lot happened within 2 hours, and definitely did. MDB, good to see you. Good morning. Yes, I have the Bring It On bandana, but very Undertaker and Judgment Day style this morning. Cindy, good to see you. Matt, as always, a pleasure. But yeah, let's just get right into the beginning of it. I mean, it kind of kicked off with some crazy action. We had Noam Dar, who got attacked. And obviously we saw it as an end result of who that was by the end of the show. And throughout the whole show, this triplet group here, Gallus, has staked their claim, on the NXT tag team division. Pardon me. I'm literally just waking up, guys. Forgive me. But yeah. So what do you think of the reappearance of Gallus and, what's going on?
I mean, at least we know it was not Trick. So that's one thing. So now the evolution of Trick and Lash can continue on. And I feel like
I was trying to save that for last for you, particularly try to save the best for last, but since we're there.
I feel like that's gonna play a role into it. They kind of left it open-ended as far as how did Lash know it wasn't Trick. And it was a nice tie up in the end. I didn't think we were gonna find out who, but it was a nice tie in the end. And then also just looking, it almost has the feel of like a Marvel comic or a Fast and the Furious, where they kind of leave the tidbit at the end, but now you have to watch the next show to figure out how this is going to come into play. So really good, really good ending to it.
It's funny how I love how you say that, because literally they said this is just the start and it happened at the very end. I didn't honestly thought the same. I didn't think we were going to see who it was so soon. I thought they were going to play around more with what was going on with Trick and Lash just to extend it. But it was quite the time, and I feel bad for Noam Dar now. He's, I can kind of say that Gallus has made me care and be concerned for Noam Dar and what's going to go forward with Metaphor. Metaphor had a pretty hard night, to say the least. And since we're going into that, we might as well just go into the men's match that we had with Ora Mensa versus the Young OG. I
Mhm.
guess we could start with those because I wanna highlight the ladies a little later for sure. But Ora Mensa had a pretty rough night. He was defeated by the Young OG Javon Evans, and Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson were at ringside, so you would think that there would have been some advantage to this.
Right.
But with the presence of Trick Williams to the rescue, he pretty much got Javon Evans over, and the crowd received it in a very, very good way. Still don't know what's going on with Lash Legend and Trick,
Oh, we
but
know.
as far as as far as still what's going to go forward between them two, because I don't know what it's leading to or what the big picture is, but we're just going to have to see. But what did you think of the match overall with Javon Evans and Ora Mensa?
I think that it was a great match, but it feels like an establishing match as far as alliances. So obviously we see Javon, like the reason it happened is because Javon was standing up for Trick. So I'm curious to see if that's going to form into a partnership, because I feel like in wrestling, in particular NXT, people forever getting jumped. They're getting jumped behind. They're getting jumped backstage, or getting jumped in the parking lot. People are forever getting jumped. So I feel like, it behoove a wrestler, a superstar, to have, at least somebody in their corner. And I mean, hopefully that somebody doesn't turn on them like Carmelo. But, I feel like this might be a nice storyline for a friendship for the reign of Trick Williams. And, it might be like a Trick Javon Lash type situation.
I don't know if we lost the boss lady. I think we're frozen for the boss lady, but we're gonna have to continue. I'm not sure what she was saying, or I don't want to interrupt what she was saying, but let's get into some comments here. I have MVB, good morning to you. Good morning, Cindy. Not to bring it on reference. I thought Noam Dar was faking it till the end segment. Well, yeah, clearly he wasn't, because we saw what happened with that at the end result. Can't wait for your main show because Raw was crazy, Cindy says. Cliffhanger City and NXT. Yeah, Cliffhanger City and NXT, and Cliffhanger City apparently on WWT Live. So I guess it'll be just you and I for this post show until we get Boss Lady out of the multiverse. Let me see here. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of do feel bad for Noam Dar. I kind of do. Lash Legend had dog walked out of Ivy. We'll get into that in a minute. Ora Mensa's hair looks like pink slime they used to make McDonald's nuggets with. You know what, MDB? It is too early for these comments, and I am literally just waking up, guys. Said probably loved this episode. He's gonna probably love this episode as well. But last night was a pretty hot mess, and it was, at least to say the least, it was because of Gallus that all this happened, because it kicked off with Noam Dar being jumped. So it started with them attacking Metaphor, which I would assume would probably be their first victims, or maybe not. We'll see. We all know Lash is getting that cut it out. Cedric says, let me in. Cedric, I don't see you in here, sir. Oh, there goes Boss Lady, and she's back again. She's back out of the multiverse. She got stuck in the Matrix somewhere. You all right there, Boss Lady?
Said
we thought Gallus took you for a second, and I don't know where Sed is right now. Sed's lost in the Matrix apparently too. But yeah, you were talking about Javon Evans and Ora Mensa.
I feel like it's going to be a good tie-in as far as future storylines, and I also feel like this might be the breakdown of Metaphor. Like, that's soon coming.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Metaphor needs to watch out anyway. I mean, being that Noam Dar was attacked, attacked first on NXT, and it was apparently Gallus that did it, I wouldn't take that lightly. As I was just telling the audience here, I possibly think that those could be the first victims of Gallus, just to get them out the way. But it actually, has me growing some affection for Metaphor, like literally, I kind of I'm not a hater, but I'm just saying I haven't been like really high on them until just in recent weeks, which is kind of
Right.
getting me interested. But and Jakara Jackson didn't. There really wasn't much else for her to do afterwards. I mean, being that Trick and everybody got involved. But speaking of Jakara Jackson, she also came. Did she come out for Lash Legend? For
Yes.
no,
Yes, she
with
did.
Lash Legend for her match in Ivy now. Yeah,
Mhm.
but apparently the numbers game isn't working well for Metaphor the way it used to. Do you smell possibly a a split due to all the chaos that's ensued among them since this stuff has happened?
Well, before we do that, I guess there's
Oh boy.
there's somebody that needs to hop on. Like,
I
who
knew
knew?
I knew I didn't mention that match for a reason, and I knew I didn't mention Vice City for a reason in the beginning
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh.
So I guess this was perfect timing, divine
Perfect
timing indeed.
timing. Seti Sed's in the building.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Everybody wake up. Ask and you shall receive. See?
Yes. Yeah,
I thought y'all
yes.
was going to be
Okay.
dilly-dallying on this here internet talking about NXT and I wasn't going to wake up one day?
Well,
Is that what you guys thought?
well, we were talking. We were about to get into the Lash Legend and Ivy Nile match, but since we're here, I mean, is there anything you'd like to say about anything that transpired last night?
Oh, this was a beautiful NXT, lots of great women's matches, the qualifiers for the eventual ladder match for the North American Women's Championship. Oral Mensa as well as Javon Evans probably stole the show as far as match is concerned. I think that was probably Oral Mensa's best match to date that I've seen in NXT. And the return of Gallus is actually really cool. I mean, we haven't caught wind of what Gallus was doing outside of them training The Rock for WrestleMania. So a lot of people, including myself, thought they would be called up to the main roster for training Dwayne. But no, they're still going to be NXT for a while. Nice shot in the arm for the tag division, and I expect them to immediately challenge Axiom and Frazier at some point. So a lot of good tea leaves on NXT as usual. I hear you guys talking about the eventual breakup of Metaphor. I'm gonna lean to what Professor said last week. I like his Samson theory. It's just gonna take a while to get there. It's gonna take a while to get there. I think Lash is getting some good for a little bit, but eventually she's gonna show her loyalties to Metaphor because Dara
You
is who
think
put
so?
her on the map.
I don't
Wow.
know. I feel like there's gonna come ahead, and I feel like her alliances might lie with Trick, figuratively and in real life.
Real life for sure. I mean, well, okay. Speaking of Lash Legend, she did defeat Ivy Nile last night in the NXT North American title qualifier match, which is big, I would say.
Huge.
Obviously it was unfortunately thanks to an assist from Jakara Jackson, unfortunately, which I would have liked to have seen them. I was going to say this before you guys got lost in the Matrix, that I would have liked to have seen this just go one-on-one. I can't, I'm getting a little, it's getting a little repetitive for me as far as the helping out and, the camaraderie with Metaphor and things like that. I'm going to be on the opposite end of the fence of this, but I feel like Ivy now probably should have walked away with this win. But Lash Legend has been in the game and she's been doing her thing. And I think, with her, ranking so high in pretty high in the combine, I would have expected either one of these women to grab a good win. But Lash Legend had the win. So what do you guys feel about the dynamic between Lash Legend and Ivy. Now, being that their styles were entirely different, but they made the match work really well.
Yeah. I mean, I had Lash winning this win. I mean, Ivy's on the main roster, came back down from the main roster to be a part of this, but I felt like Lash needed this win to continue with the story, where beneficial wise, it wasn't beneficial for Ivy to win this. So I had Lash winning this. It was a great match, and if I too can quote Professor, it's great to see Lash's evolution as far as a wrestler, because this match is really like all right, you doing something. So yeah, I didn't, and I don't think I even verbalized it, but you know how you're watching a match and you're just not at all surprised. I wasn't at all surprised that she was going to pull out this win.
Sad, what about you?
Yeah, it's the right decision, and I feel like where Ivy now coming down for these brief stints is kind of just her getting her just due. She was looked at kind of like as the pit bull in NXT for a long time, but didn't really work a lot of matches when she was a part of the Diamond Mine crew. She just kind of had that allure because she had like a very unique physique. I think her storyline is being told more on Raw, and I think eventually she'll align herself with Chad Gable and dispose of Maxine from training her or whatnot like that. But right call for Lash. When you look at a ladder match, you got to have so many contrasting styles in that match. So having Soul and then having your heavy hitter and Lash makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it's shaping up to be a good qualifying tournament for sure. Like I can't wait to see what the end result is, and we get right to the bracket and see these girls go at it, because it's going to be pretty nasty. Speaking of nasty, I guess let's talk about Madam Lola Vice, along with Shayna Baszler, defeated Carly Bright in some one-on-one action last night with a pretty disgusting spinning back fist. I can honestly say. I guess I'll pose this to the mayor. Lola Vice defeating Carly Bright. What do you think of that one-on-one?
Let's be real, guys. Like you guys thought a cheerleader was gonna come in here and step on what we building?
Wow.
Is that what you thought? Is that what you thought? We talking about? Yeah, you had your nice little segment. I mean, you've been doing some things on Level Up. You know, you cheerleader at the University of Minnesota, but we throw hands around here. ain't no sunshines and rainbows. And one of my goats had a pocket full of sunshine, but we turned them lights out last night. It wasn't nothing bright for Carly last night, and she'll learn. She'll learn her place. But what I dislike is this, and the blessing in disguise here is that we get to see Lola Vice on television 2 weeks in a row. I'm putting in work in Vice City and getting the TV time, guys. But my issue is that we still got to deal with clout chasing ass Natty every time. Clout chasing ass Natty. Every time Natty picks up a mic, I feel like we lose a life. We lose a life here on Earth every time Natalia picks up a microphone. Because why do we have to do this again? You lost. Take your loss with some in stride. Where's your humility? Now we got a tag match. I don't like how Shayna keep getting snuffed. Like, what are we doing? And actually, I have a question for our information officer, Boza. Shayna mentioned something about she's not the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion. I believe that's still Asuka, but she said she has the most combined days as champion. I'm wondering if that's accurate or not.
I mean, I feel like if she's saying it, it's probably true. Like, she doesn't seem like, because you know how you have some.
You have multiple title reigns, but it's like over 500. Because Asuka has 500 and some change.
Well, I feel like, I think it might be, because she had some long title reigns, so string together, it could be that. I feel like she wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. Like, she's not one of those wrestlers who, and in character, not as far as real life, she's not one of those wrestlers who fabricates stuff. You know how one of those wrestlers say, "Oh, I'm the greatest ever." Like, that's not her stick. So I feel like whatever she's saying, like, it was based off of legitimate information.
Yeah. Well, based on what we got last night, I feel like this is going to culminate at Battleground, if I'm being honest, because Baszler's loss to Io was very surprising to me. So now that she's out of the
Yes.
Queen of the Ring, I think she'll be in Battleground because you're going to be opening up an NXT program in the Apex, and why not have a former fighter at the Apex and have that big fight feel?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
no,
Buster.
you're good. I definitely like that's gonna real. It's, I mean, the matches so far between the four of them have been pretty good. So I wouldn't mind seeing it at the Apex. The visuals would be on par, especially having two former MMA fighters. So I think visually it'll look good.
Yeah. MDB says Shayna has 549 combined days as champion. Asuka has 510 combined days as champion.
That's crazy.
So,
well, Asuka's was 5% straight. That's the main difference.
That is a pretty crazy fact. But wow, that's crazy. I don't think I've actually ever seen that down. But wow. Shout out to Shayna Baszler. But I kind of was hoping she'd win that match too. But I digress on that because I always say she's my favorite NXT champion. Cindy, says Io Sky was over AF in that match. MDB says Shayna and Roxanne are the only two-time NXT Women's Champions. That's crazy too. That's a crazy. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on with the ladies last night. Even with the when you had OTM versus Idris Inafe and Malik Blade, and then you had the girls in the back, and then that turned into something else. Like those two, Brittany Reese and Jada Parker, was something I didn't know I needed in a cat fight. Honestly, I can't wait to see these two go at it even further and big up their story. But speaking of the tag teams, I guess we could get into that match too. What did you guys think of OTM versus Idris Inafe and Malik Blade?
Another great match. I mean, some high flyers. As far as WWE is concerned, the state of wrestling and what it looks like in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a lot different I wouldn't even say in a good or a bad, just in a different way, just by seeing, all these new wrestlers come up. And, as some of you guys might know, I'm the type of person who reads the back of the book first. I'm just really curious as how this is all going to play. Like, what wrestlers are we going to see in the main roster? Not to say I want them all to go to the main roster. I'm just like, future wise, what does this all look like? Because it looks amazing. And this match in itself, really, really great storytelling. I'm curious to see, just take it to the women as far as where Jada's going to end up with all of this. But yeah, great match nonetheless. Just a lot of high flyers, a lot of hard hitting stuff. Just good storytelling. There was a moment where one of them took off their shirt, and I was just like,
yeah. I was yeah, could have probably done with that part probably didn't matter, but other than that, the match was overall a pretty good banger. Seth, what do you think of this match?
Good for Out the Mud to finally get a win. So it shows there's no plan for them, despite us knowing that Reggie's contract is up on the 1st. I want to pose a thought because there's a long-term story happening with Blade and Inoue as kind of like the runner-ups. And it reminds me of, for all my NXT purists, it reminds me of Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. How they would always put on these good matches, but never really win the big one. And I think their story is that their luck's finally going to turn. I don't know when. It might be on a random Tuesday night that they finally actually win the big one, and that'll be their swan song to go to the main roster. Because I feel like they've been in NXT for a while, and they're always in this space of trying to change their fortunes, losing streaks. You see Inoue having the rabbit foot for good luck. And now they're trying to get motivational advice from Brinley Reese. They've been through all these ups and downs, really at the forefront of just trying to string together W's. There was a point where they were trying to fight each other just so they can figure out how to be a better tag team. But they remind me so much of Lorcan and Birch, just trying to string it together until they finally do. It'll be a good story once they finally win the big one.
Yeah, I'm well. MDB made a comment here, and I kind of want to touch on this too, but it's because I kind of have to disagree with this one. You know, Fee and Blade need some sort of character development. They're kind of boring and kind of feels like OTM is just the front to get Jade over more. Here's how I feel about that comment. Even if that were true, I don't think that either of these tag teams. I think that what we are currently seeing with these tag teams is their character development. So I don't really think it's boring. I think it's just building. And and instead of OTM being a front to get Jade over more, maybe Jade's effect is also helping them get OTM over as well. So I think what we're seeing with both of these teams is that they are developing, and they are going to be polishing them for the main roster. But I think last night, with seeing them go against each other, I pretty much feel like their stock went up because of the way they told the story in the ring and how good it was. And the obviously the girls just added even more to it. But I feel like I would have to disagree with MDB on that. I actually liked this match. This was actually probably one of my favorite matches to watch from last night that happened, because you were able to see them both shine in different ways and what their strengths were in the ring as well. So, and that's what I feel like I'm getting with them. I wasn't really familiar with Idris and Malik from, I know they've been in NXT for a while, but before they've been in NXT, I wasn't really familiar with them. But I always figured that they were definitely made to be, polished for a big push in NXT as a team. So I think that we are seeing their character development up front and center as we go along week to week. Danny Burch's face.
I can make an argument that Blade would be better off as a singles. If they can figure out a character for Blade that's not just like the shy guy, but like they're both very talented in the ring. It's surprising that it hasn't like fully come together yet. And that was MDB talking about Danny Burch's face being rugged.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. Okay.
Manly.
Let me see. Okay. Well, we could have, or maybe we will, who knows? But apparently, Wesley and a few others have their sights set on that North American title around the waist of champion Oba Femi. And we. Sorry, guys, I'm blanking here. Sorry. Wesley came out, Ivar came out, and as well as who am I missing? Why am I missing somebody? Josh Briggs as well came out, and apparently Wesley has suggested a fatal four-way, but it sounded like Oba Femi wanted them to fend for themselves. What do you think of that? Being the response of Oba Femi, being that he's been such a dominant champion, and he seems like usually not inclined to run away from a problem, but handle the problem.
I wouldn't think it's running away from the problem. So like if you do like a fatal four-way, depending on the rules, and typically it's a fatal four-way, and like whoever gets pinned is going to get the championship. So he might not lose it. It's just how things happen. And I definitely agree with him. Like even though you're a champion and, he calls himself king and all this other stuff, for somebody to run a really great kingdom, you have to essentially put yourself first to remain king. So what he's doing, and it's not like Ava made it up saying this has to happen. He essentially said, these are my rules in order. I'm allowing you guys the opportunity to battle for this championship, but you're going to do it under my rules. And if I were him, I would do the same thing. Why would you want to step into a ring with a fatal four-way when you can have one-on-one? It's a lot easier to do one-on-one, especially the way like Oba Femi looks, like just the whole appearance. He thinks that he's going to dominate any one of them. So one-on-one, he knows he can definitely do that. But say if he gets in the ring and all three of them take him on, then like he's losing no matter what. So I don't think it's running away. I think it's a very smart move.
Okay. Sad, what about you?
Honestly, it'll be the safest way to get the belt off Obafemi. If they choose to go that route at Battleground, it's the Fatal 4. It'll be the safest way, and you'll protect every character if they do it. So it's smart on Obafemi to kind of let these guys duke it out. I mean, will it be fun to have Wesley and Obafemi at Battleground? Because it's complete contrast in styles. Wesley legitimately has claim as the greatest North American champion of all time. So it'll be fun. I can't wrap my mind around right now how Wes conquers Obafemi based on how dominant they made him. Unless the plans are like immediately after the summer or during the summer to have Femi and Trick. I can't wrap my mind around it.
Well, I mean, going back to what Professor said, we can go biblical. David and Goliath. David found a way to slay Goliath. So it's and visually, like you saw it, like Wes in his promo made. I really like this one because they weren't cutting each other down. They were like acknowledging each other's, the positives and everything like that. And Wes Mano is like, you're the prototype of a wrestler, looks wise, all this other stuff. But then Obafemi was talking about his heart, the fact that he was supposed to be out for a year, he came back in 6 months. It's the classic. I can't do the biblical verse as good as the professor, but it's a classic David and just visually. That was the first thing I thought, David and Goliath. I feel like I definitely would want to see Obafemi and Trick, but I also do want to see Wes and Obafemi. Like, how's this gonna look?
Yeah, I would have hoped for a one-on-one with Wes and Oba before anything. I mean, especially that he's come back with such conviction and such a motive that he has every right to try to reclaim the title that he never lost. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's capable of conquering it and doing so. But I just don't know. Maybe if it's too soon for that. Being that, like you said that Obafemi, they built him up to be such a dominant champion. But what about Josh Briggs and Ivar? Being that we did see them face off in a triple threat already, technically, do we really need to run it back with these three, or should it have just been a one-on-one with Wesley and Obafemi instead of adding Ivar and Josh Briggs?
I mean, I'm here for Ivar and NXT. I'm here for all that. I honestly wouldn't mind if Ivar strapped up for a minute on this singles run. His tag team partner's going to be out for some time. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just how you push the story along, that you have this depth of competitors for Obafemi. So, like, I still can't see a one-on-one. I think it will lead to a Fatal 4 somehow, some way.
There it is, and I guess we'll have to wait and see and tune in to see what happens with those four. Not really all four behemoths, but three behemoths and one David ish character. MDB says the story of David and Goliath is cool until you realize David is kind of an a-hole. Oh Lord!
Wow.
I said to him earlier, it's too early for this. I can't. We need to pick a different time. Ivar needs something to do. His tag partner's hurt. Valhalla want to be barefoot and pregnant. So what? Let them be happy and barefoot and pregnant and Vikings. Yeah, let them do that thing, man. Let them do that thing. Let's see. What other should we get into? Oh, I want to get into this match. This was actually one of my favorite matches, and I should have probably gotten into this one. I should have probably done the ladies first. I'm a little all over the place, but Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame for the Women's North American title qualifier as well. This match was pretty freaking good for my taste. Like, and for what a way for it to kick off. Sol Ruca is somebody that is consistently growing on me week by week. The more they show her, the more they put her in that ring, the more excited I get for Tuesdays to watch her. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's get into it. I mean, the way she did that soul snatcher off the head scissors was absolutely unbelievable. This girl, she has the capability to like pull that RKO out of nowhere type of thing. and like make that soul snatcher like her RKO, where she pulls that out of nowhere. And I really loved this one-on-one with her and Izzy Dame. And Izzy Dame actually had a great showing as well. What did you guys think of this match, Boss Lady?
Man, this was a great match to start off with. I feel easily, obviously, if you didn't have the Heritage Cup, this could have been like a main event type match. It's nice to see how you can kind of see how it's playing out, because I definitely thought I had sold for this one for the win as well. And so it's nice to see how NXT and WWE are building characters and like kind of taking the slow approach to, because we've heard Sol Ruka's name for a while, and this nice build up, and then also talking about the numbers with the combine. I think Sol with 95, Izzy with 90, like all those things is like, okay, well, they're definitely supposed to be in the ring athletically. And you saw that, portrayed in the match. So really, really great match. Like another high flying match where it's just like, damn, like where?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it was really good.
She was killing it all through and through. And even from the way she entered and came out, I was just like, okay, girl, her energy is kicked up and she's ready to go. But she did come out victorious. And Mayor, what do you think of the progression of Sol Ruka as we further the North American title qualifications?
Yeah, I think she's the perfect fit to be in the ladder match. So I like the Kiana James back to NXT, support her friend and then Izzy Dame before the match. I think what they're doing with Sol is important, letting us know that she ranked number 1 in the combine, which is why she's here. So especially coming off her injury, she had a couple landings in the match that just made me cringe. But like, she's so damn athletic, and I think you can easily say she's probably the most athletic woman in all of WWE right now. There's just certain things that she does, especially if you follow her on socials and see her workout videos and see like how strong she really is. Like she's an amazing athlete. So I think there's big things ahead for Sol. I expect like some unbelievable spots in that ladder match. And I think it was a great match to showcase like everything she can do. And she's like the constant showcase right now. Like right now, every week on NXT, if you have a Sol Ruka match, she is the showcase, because you're gonna wait to see like what she pulls off in the ring that just makes your jaw drop. So like I'm happy that she's 100% healthy, back in the fold, and actually they have a pathway for her to success in NXT.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to see what else she does, especially if she's going to be involved with that ladder match. I definitely see her as one of my top favorites and picks to possibly win it all the way as well. Now, going to Izzy Dame, Boss Lady, I'll give you this question. Before she had this match, she did have an interaction with Kiana James, who she's been the protege for quite some time. And Kiana James had something interesting, that she said to her was that there's a reason she befriended her and no one else, and that the reason she's going to, she said Kiana James says she's going to run Raw while Izzy Dame runs NXT. Now, being that she already lost to Sol Ruka, what does this say about Dame running NXT, and how do you think Kiana James would feel about that if that continues?
I mean, it's kind of like those graphics that we see as far as life, right? I mean, yeah, you could set her up and have her, start establishing dominance, but maybe something in the future. There's like a more of a pivotal moment, like this is the game plan, but you have to go through some other things in order to get there. So I don't know. I wouldn't jump the gun just yet. I think there's still a little bit more story to play out.
Mayor?
Yeah, I think there's a pathway for Dame's success, like following the character blueprint that Kiana James left. As you know, like Kiana James is kind of like the business person, the boss. She found her way to like own Fallon Henley's bar. There's a lot of backstory there, so she has those type of business ties from her friend and Kiana James. I think you can play into that more. We see a lot of that in the D'Angelo family, where people just owe them money. I think you can do that same thing in the women's division with Izzy Dame.
Sorry, Professor, as you were speaking, Cindy had a very good comment that I'm sure you'd probably agree with. Says, I'm just waiting on Lola Vice to win that NXT type women's title finally, right before Julia debuts and starts headbutting the whole division. What do you think about that comment?
You know, well, Roxanne is our champion right now, and I think an interesting comment was made last night with Shayna as well as Lola, that she doesn't have a number one contender.
Mm.
So I think eventually we're going to have to figure that stuff out, because I think Battleground is June 9th. They're going to have some type of number one contendership match. I think once we get rid of Clout Chase and Natty, maybe we can get back into the title picture here.
Wow.
And
He's
get back.
really sticking with that, huh? He's really. I wasn't ready for all this morning hostility. Clout chasing.
Know.
All this morning clout chasing. I should have put clout chasing cups and combines in the title.
I want Natty to receive the same heckling that Chris Jericho receives. It's no different.
Okay.
Literally no different.
Well, the mayor is standing on business this morning, and
Or
you know what?
she's just helping out young talent, being a Hall of Famer, like being a future Hall of Famer. Like,
right. Maybe she's just doing her job. How about that? Maybe she's just doing what she does.
Seth sees the Canadians like yes. Seth definitely has a problem with Canadians.
By the way, I didn't see enough teal shirts in the Orlando audience. I just want you guys to know in the hard cam, I'm watching. I know they sell the merch out front. Like, I need to see more of them shirts on the hard cam.
I hope everybody at the PC sees this or listens to this, or somehow, anybody who does hang in Orlando sees this, because, when the mayor's standing on business today, so watch out. He's running amok. Speaking of running amok, the family, if you ask me, had quite an eventful evening last night, and they were running amok all over the show last night as well. Tony D'Angelo, oh my God. Well, special little nobody says Natty is the Drake of WWE, clout and swagger jacking. You guys are being awfully mean to Natalya today.
So Brett full blow, and it's like I'm supposed to accept it. Like, okay, like.
Oh my God. Ugh. To think I was wearing my Brett. Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's strawberry syrup out here.
Not too much Drake.
Don't do maple on our pancakes. You know what I'm saying?
Back to the family. I can't even think this morning. NXT General Manager Ava had told Tony D'Angelo that last week's tag team results didn't count, and apparently the referee, he took a referee and he was like, no, apparently they came down with bronchitis, and he doesn't know where anyone else went. It disappeared, and Ava made a pretty hefty charge, and she fined him 20 G's, which he was more than happy to obligingly give and seemed prepared to pay for.
I have questions. So many questions.
Me too.
That envelope didn't have enough heft to it for me. Was it like some gift cards in there, a debit card? Because it didn't have enough heft for $20K. And also,
you're talking about the heft of the envelope makes me really question what you're really doing in Vice City. Because how can you eyeball that and say that's not 20K?
20K? 20K? It just slim 20K? Nah.
In hundreds or in thousands?
Nah. It didn't have enough heft for me. Nah. Them was like restaurant vouchers.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well,
who is funding the D'Angelo family? I'm so sick of it.
I was really hoping for a second that was going to be the question that you would ask instead of talking about the size of the envelope. That was what I was prepared for.
It didn't have no heft, but I'm really sick of the whole Walter White thing we're doing with the D'Angelo family. Like, why? What's the business operations? one, like a month ago, we had to see this boiler room set up with Ilya with all these random ass employees. How are you funding these people?
I think we know. Wait, what? Have you not seen The Godfather or Casino? Like, I feel like.
Okay, I haven't seen those movies. But I'm just
Wait.
this is definitely
Pause. You haven't seen any of those movies
Oh
ever,
my
ever in
God.
your ever,
not
ever.
really for the mobster movies. That's not my thing. Like
Wow.
Okay.
Well, then
Okay.
that's why you ask the questions, because you don't know any better. There was a
the
line.
the heft is a bad question.
Yes, because I feel like, well, as far as who's funding, like,
Oh
if
my
you watch
God.
those movies, then you would know who's funding. And it's just like, I wrote this line. I think it was, I forgot who they quoted, Lil Wayne, where they say, gangsters move in silence like lasagna. Really, really great line, by the way. And they're not gonna,
6'7".
yeah, you're not gonna know their business because they're gangsters. If you know their business, then they would literally have to kill you. You need to, your assignment said, is to go back and watch every single gangster movie from mid 70s. I think it's like when did Godfather come out? Like mid 80s to the 90s. You have to go and watch all those. I will give you a list and then you'll understand.
Possibly one probably came out in the 70s, like late 70s or something like that. Maybe. Oh Lord, have mercy. I
Real
can't
Nah,
niggas
believe
move
you've
in
never
size like
seen those
lasagna.
movies.
Like
not feeling.
that's a crazy, that is a crazy. Do you understand that? Like, we can even go on a tangent a little way. Anywho,
I,
you're not gonna know
yeah,
what to do because they'll have to kill you. So for
yeah,
them not
basically.
saying that, that's just like, what are we doing right now?
Eric Isaac, good to see you. Says, hey peeps. MDB said, I don't blame you at all. Those movies are longer than AEW pay-per-views.
Wow.
Listen, they're long movies, but they are classics
Angry.
and they are great movies.
I'm just saying, like what? Why are we forcing this Tony
Sylvia,
D'Angelo single star stuff? Like, because the scoop here is that he won the Heritage Cup from Charlie Dempsey, who I feel like we don't give enough face time to, even now with William Regal being back. He did the Bloodsport thing, WrestleMania weekend. Everybody loved it. And he's like real graps. I feel like there's not a lot of people in NXT right now that are real graps. So, like, what are we doing to draw? And let's be real, it's called the NXT Heritage Cup. This is the NXT UK thing. And now we have this NXT 2.0 character holding the cup. What are we doing?
I have to thoroughly agree with that. And I was just going to get into that being, that we were so heavy into the envelope. But Tony D'Angelo is the new NXT Heritage Cup champion, and he did defeat Dempsey in kind of like it was like a tournament that had 6 3-minute rounds and 20-second breaks between rounds. 2 out of 3 falls. Falls can be scored by pinfall, submission, or count out. And when a fall occurs, the round ends immediately. DQ or knockout ends the match. After 6 rounds, most fall wins. The champion retains if tied. That's a lot. That's a lot of rules, and that's a mouthful. But Tony D'Angelo did come up with the win and beat Dempsey, which I'm not sure what we're really doing at this point with, in my personal opinion, with Tony D'Angelo. I mean, I'm not sure how I felt about it, because that and the way I feel talking about it right now is the way I felt when I saw it last night. And I'm like, okay, so you couldn't defeat. You could. I mean, you couldn't win in the last week. What, I forgot what other match it was or who he faced for the title. I'm blanking out, but it was just really underwhelming as far as him winning the NXT Heritage Cup. Now, how scoring all those falls, we know damn well that Charlie Dempsey being William Regal's son, we know this wouldn't have happened in real life. I mean, I'm not sure what they're really doing with the buildup with D'Angelo, or where this is going to lead him to next, being that now he has the Heritage Cup. But it really was just really confusing to me. But I don't know. What did you guys think of this?
I kind of like MDV's comment with Tony needs a win to win something he's been striking out lately.
Yeah.
I feel like the family storyline, it to me is comical. I love seeing all the aspects of it, and maybe because I do like watching gangster films and stuff like that. But it needs to translate in the wrestling ring as well. So if they don't get the wins and they're constantly losing, then like what are we doing? Like there has to be some connection. So I did like what they did last week as far as, you know, substituting the ref and essentially doing the shenanigans that, you know, mobsters, whether true or not, fact or fiction, do that we see on television. So I do like there's that tie-in where it's like, nah, we're gonna run this, and maybe this is the start of essentially the family trying to run NXT and how that will look like. So I'm curious. I feel like it's a build up. They're taking a little bit of a different direction, and it's gonna be build up to something that makes a little bit more sense.
Shed, what do you think? I know you said a little bit about it, but what do you think of going forward for what's going to happen with Tony D'Angelo now that he's Heritage Cup champion?
It feels like an unnecessary pivot. It feels like, hey, we want to do this, like TK was saying, we want to do this angle where this family has this like corruption over NXT, and that they're ruling NXT in a crooked type of way. But we didn't want to put you at the top of the mountain yet because we have other people who are more over with the audience. But now we're going to do it with the Heritage Cup. It's like you're forcing it. It's forcing it because like if you're just going to be doing underhanded things under the table, you're murdering people, you're paying people off with
allegedly.
I mean, no, allegedly. Nobody said that anybody was actually murdered. I think that it was alleged.
We're adults. We can read between the lines. They whacked Gulak. They probably whacked Reggie. You know, allegedly. So it's like we're doing all this to keep the family relevant, even down to adding Rizzo and now Crucifino. So it's like it's like NXT is trying to let you know, like, hey, we want to let you know that Tony D'Angelo is a staple of NXT, and eventually it's going to lead to him being NXT champion. I just don't know when his time is going to be, because this is obviously Trick's era, the CW's coming, but it just feels like the NXT UK Heritage Cup is a very weird way to go, because I don't feel like there's a lot of challengers for the cup right now anyway.
Well, yeah. I agree with you, but I feel like the family's not going anywhere anytime soon as far as NXT and going to the main roster. I feel like because there are so many members, there is enough time to really cook on this. So I feel like I definitely feel like across the board, WWE is taking the long game with stuff. Another reference as far as, you know, doesn't apply but does apply. If you read Rhonda's book and as far as her time in WWE, from what she talked about to what we're seeing now, two totally different things. They were rushing a lot of different things, and I don't think that's what's happening now. And I think we're seeing the fruits of the new regime. So I feel like the family's going to be there for a while. So we're going to see little things. We're going to see like little Easter eggs and things, but it's going to be a slow build to the dominance if they choose to continue with that storyline, because, you know, everything is subject to change too.
So this is random. This is one thing I will say positive about the D'Angelo family. I think Adriana Rizzo posted a video of her college athletics. I believe she's a long jumper, maybe pole vaulter. She's athletic as all hell. I don't know why she hasn't done a lot of in-ring performing, but she can probably go if they give her the chance. I'm surprised she wasn't featured in the combine.
And that will take time.
Yeah, that I guess we'll have to see what goes forward with the D'Angelo family, only because I don't know, it's just a little weird to me why they wouldn't put the title on him, but they put the World Cup on him. So it's just a little eerie to me. I feel like he has paid some dues already to be able to get that title at this point. The fact that he hasn't is just a little weird and strange to me, but I guess we'll see going forward. And we'll see going forward with the NXT women's qualifiers. Is there anything else from last night? I don't think so. I don't think that's anything else. But I think that's pretty much a wrap for today. Any final thoughts about what about going forward with NXT and or what had after everything that transpired last night, or any little tidbits we may have missed?
I'm definitely really looking forward to June 8th. It's just NXT, watching NXT in this capacity, meaning watching it to do this post show. You see all these little things that you wouldn't how I watch TV. When I do it for post shows is a little bit different than just watching TV. And it made me really just excited, as every week is so different, especially if you watch it on Hulu. So it takes it down to like just an hour if you're watching all these matches. So I'm really curious, and a lot of developing storylines at once, which I think a lot of us have said that's not possible. But we're seeing a lot of possible storylines all developing. So I'm curious to see how it's all gonna play out. And maybe also in the universe of WWT, maybe we will see said on a regular basis on our anything is possible. So yeah,
I love it.
We're
Yes, absolutely. Any final thoughts for you, Sid?
Just like episode 300, I gotta say you're welcome. Like I told you guys I'd show up bright and early. They tried to take me out the NXT game, y'all. But I mean, Vice City is here to stay, and I look forward to
Somebody trying to take you out.
my client retiring Natalia next week. I look forward to it. At least by Battleground. Let's just get Natty off our TV in 2024. Let's just move with the Vice movement. Let's move with the Parker movement. Yes, blame Jacob DeLawrence. Jacob out here doing Andscape articles and making bread, but like I'm just.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I'm just in the car going to work, So yeah, blame Jacob DeLawrence.
I'm just an innocent bystander and a mediator for a post show. But if that, I guess that will be all for today for our NXT post show. Mayor, where can everybody find you, sir?
I don't need you guys to find me, just like the D'Angelo family. You don't need to know what I'm doing, but you can follow this lovely platform here at Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. You get your Lola Vice shirts on www.shop.com, and I make sure you use the WWE24 code to get free shipping. That's all I
got. Boss lady.
You can find me everywhere at TK Trinidad, everywhere. Not as active in the cities, like said. We have a Canadian council that we're going to be meeting, to discuss some things that's happened in the last couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens.
Oh snap! Oh boy, not a Canadian council. You guys can find me here Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays with the WWT crew. Find me on TikTok, Wrestling with Honey, Instagram, Wrestling with Honey, Facebook, Wrestling W Honey, and follow and like and subscribe to the YouTube. That's going to be up and running real sooner than you think. The Wrestling with Honey podcast. And as well, don't forget my Honey SmackDown watch along is this Friday during SmackDown. Come join me here at this platform at 8 o'clock. And thank you so much for joining us at our NXT post show. That will be all for today. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at wwtalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like